We're here with Professor Chand to talk about agriculture. In the first session, we talked about agriculture from the time of independence to today, and what was the history of Indian agriculture and what happened then. Today, we're going to look going forward during Amrit Kaal. And so, Professor Chand, great to see you here again. Thank you for joining us. And can you talk about what are the lessons that we can learn from the past that can be applied over the next 25 years? What are the challenges and opportunities for Indian agriculture during Amrit Kaal?
Thank you. You are very right. As we normally say, भविष्य का जन्म अतीत की गोद से होता है. So when we are talking about Amrit Kaal, it is very important to learn from our experience of the past. Also, when we talk about future, we should remember that success brings its own challenges which need to be addressed as we go along into future. Thirdly, the opportunities which were available in the past may not be available in future. Rather, new kind of opportunity become available. So we need to take those also into consideration. Fourth is that the environment in which agriculture operates, that doesn't remain same, that change domestically, that also change globally, that need to be considered. One major difference when we talk about our achievement of the past and we talk about future is that for future, sustainability, ecology and environment have become very, very important. So this is the broad framework under which I would be talking about future of Indian agriculture or Indian agriculture during Amrit Kaal. As far as learnings or lessons of the past are concerned, these are at two levels. We have lessons at national level, what kind of policies and development processes be initiated at national level, what were the response to those policies and initiative, that is at national level. We also have experience at state level because many of our states, they are unique, their experience offer lot of learning for other states. So I look at learning at two level, one is at national level, another is at state level. The biggest learning at national level is if we look at the growth rate of different segment of agriculture, we get very interesting pattern. That pattern is in the slide you can see that segment of agriculture where government support is highest, the growth rate is minimum, the growth rate is least. And the segment of agriculture where government support is almost missing or minimal, you find that growth rate is highest. I would like to generalize it that higher the intervention and support of the government for a segment of agriculture, the experience of recent year is that lower is the growth. The reason behind this is that government support sometimes does not take into consideration how demand side things are changing. So from this slide, you will find that the highest growth rate we have in fishery. We are now close to having 10% growth rate for last 1 decade. Then it is livestock including dairy, egg. There we find that the growth rate is close to 6% every year last 10 years. Then come horticulture commodities and then comes the other field crops. In fact, the lowest growth is experienced in last 10 years in case of rice and wheat, where MSP is there, free water, lot of government support is there. The lesson from this for future is that we must recognize in what direction the demand is changing and how the demand side factors are pulling the growth rate. Our support for different segment of agriculture should be consistent. It should not create a friction for demand side to to pull up growth. So, this is one very important lesson, that demand side factor in Indian agriculture have played much stronger role than the government intervention. The second lesson from the past is that whenever we liberalized any part of agriculture or agriculture as a whole, we got huge success in terms of growth rate of output and also in terms of export promotion. In fact, when we liberalized internally and externally by mid-90s, share of Indian agriculture in global agriculture GDP was only 7%. Now it is 14%. 30 years before that, the share of India in global GDP didn't increase. It either remained stagnant or it declined. So, that is the second important lesson from a national level. The third lesson is that government of India and state government, they are spending a lot on different development initiative like irrigation, like insurance, like marketing. The lesson from that is that where by learning from experience, we tweak our initiative and we bring innovation in our development, we get huge results. One example of that is irrigation sector. Before 2015 or 2016, we were spending thousands of crores of rupee in irrigation sector, but area under public irrigation was not expanding. Then our Prime Minister came with new kind of scheme, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, where all schemes under irrigation were tweaked. And in the last 7 years, I am happy to share this statistics that area under irrigation has increased by 1 percentage point every year, and now we have close to 55% area under irrigation, which was only 47% around 2015-16, and it was stagnant at that level. Similar is the story with this Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, that when we after learning from experience, we modified it. We just find that now it is not only lonely farmer who are going for crop insurance. In fact, number of non-lonely farmer opting crop insurance is rising at a much faster rate than lonely farmers. So, like this there are example. We have example of digitalization also, that learning from implementation of scheme and then modifying scheme and making required changes in response to what has been experienced. Then I come to states. At state level also we have some unique experience. One is experience of Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh now has more productivity of per hectare of land compared to what is the productivity level in Haryana and what is productivity level in Punjab. Either they are at par or Andhra is higher. But if you look at growth rate in Punjab of our crop sector particularly, it is only 0.5%. In case of Haryana, it is only 0.1%. But in case of Andhra Pradesh, the growth rate of crop sector is close to 5%. Growth rate of overall agriculture sector is 8%. So, we need to look at experience of AP, that how come AP with such a high productivity, which is close to or higher than Punjab and Haryana, is having growth rate in their crop sector and in their agriculture many times more than what is the growth rate in so-called developed states. That is experience of Andhra. Then we have experience of Madhya Pradesh, where most of the district either have low productivity or they have medium productivity. Even in case of Madhya Pradesh, the growth rate of crop sector is more than 5%, growth rate of overall agriculture is close to 7%. That is lesson for, I would say, low productivity states of India, that what MP has done, they should also be following example of MP. Then we have experience related to minimum support price and growth, about which I mentioned earlier also. That experience shows us minimum support price gives us good growth where there is a yield gap, where it is possible to increase yield by 50% or double yield. Where we have reached plateau, like we have reached plateau in yield of rice and wheat in Haryana and Punjab, there MSP just can't give any growth rate. Even if we give higher MSP, it results in one-time increase in income of the farmer, but growth element goes completely missing. So, when we talk of MSP, we must draw this the distinction that where MSP will give us growth and where MSP will not give growth in output or in income of farmer, and we need to think of other ways to increase output and to increase income of farmer in those kind of situation. Third is that horticulture sector, in crop sector and dairy sector in almost all the states show very good performance, very good result, invariably which is higher than crop sector. The other important lesson from state experience is those states which have facilitated entry of private sector into agriculture, there we find that both productivity, farmer income and growth of agriculture is showing much better results compared to the states which have not undertaken any kind of reforms to encourage private sector to make investment in agriculture. The second aspect you mentioned is again important, that what are the kind of challenges which we should take into consideration when we move into future. Again, I would say that these challenges can be grouped in two categories. One is the challenges which are faced by agriculture. Second category is the challenge which have arisen out of agriculture. The challenge which are faced by agriculture, one is that related to markets, that in India's case agriculture markets show that their functioning is inefficient, agriculture market remain underdeveloped, supply chain remain underdeveloped, our logistic remained poor. The cost of supplying food is much higher than other country. So, even if our cost of production is lower than other country, we are not efficient seller of that. So, this is one challenge. The second challenge is because of scale. If you look at profitability of agriculture, in most of the crop you will find that we have very good profitability. But if you look at amount of profit, that is very low because of scale factors. So, we need to address this scale factor, that if we have a farmer who have 1 acre, only 2 acre, their bargaining power is very low, their cost of transaction is very high. It will not be economical for them to go to market, explore best options for sale of produce or for purchase of inputs. Therefore, we need to address this challenge of low scale of farming, because 90% of our farmers, they operate on less than 2 hectare land. Third is related to extension and advisory. What kind of advisory is available to our farmers? Our extension people, they are very good in telling farmer, this new seed has come, you go for this variety. If there is a disease, they are good at diagnosing disease and telling that this is solution. Two area where extension personnel lack expertise are: number one, to advise farmer what is the best mix of production choices that farmer should have. How much area a farmer should allocate to crop A, B, C, D. So, in that particular area, our extension advisory is very weak. We need to do something to address this challenge. The second challenge is that in terms of market, whether it is it will be okay for a farmer to sell immediately after harvest, or he or she should keep the produce, wait for another 3 months, market is going to improve, he is going to get a better price. So, this related to market intelligence also, our this extension system is weak. The third area relate to input quality and also this cost of input. There also you just find that whenever new seed comes, the cost is exorbitant. Reason is simple, that we do not have adequate competition, again we do not have adequate participation of private sector. So, this challenge of spurious input, adulterated input, farmer feel he is buying hybrid seed, but when he sow the crop he find only half of it was hybrid, rest of it is not hybrid. So, there are issues related to input quality and input cost. The last challenge I would put is that in India one would feel that here population pressure is rising, therefore, fallow land will be declining. Actually, area under fallow land is rising and it is rising in every state. We need to address that why in a country where there is so much pressure on land, area under fallow land is increasing. We need to address that and we need to reverse that. Then we have some challenges which have arisen from agriculture, the way we have been doing agriculture. One is that use of input is very inefficient. Fertilizer use efficiency is only 30%, we go for broadcasting of fertilizer. So, most of fertilizer either go into air or in the water, only 30% is taken by plants. Similarly, if you look at water, we go for flood irrigation, we hardly or very little area we follow drip method, sprinkler method or other efficient method of irrigation. So, compared to many other countries, we use 2 to 3 times the water to produce 1 ton of food. So, that like this there are so many areas where there is inefficiency, and this I call that these are the challenges which are arising out of agriculture. Another important challenge in agriculture is that last 15 to 20 years agriculture growth is driven by price factors. It is not driven by technology. So, I in economic parlance put it that we have very costly growth, we need to convert it into efficient growth, because when new technology is coming, the average cost of production should come down. That is not happening in case of agriculture. We need to address that through technology, through management, through modernization of farm, and there are so many measures. The third challenge created by agriculture is that because of rising subsidies, rising subsidy content, the fiscal burden of agriculture on union budget and state budget is rising, and we need to do something to this. Then we have challenge of emission, we have challenge of sustainability. Agriculture is the second largest source of emission after energy sector. The emissions coming out of agriculture are much larger than the emission which come out of manufacturing. So, this is also because it is very important for climate change, we need to address this challenge. The last challenge I will put is food safety and health. Daily newspaper reports are coming, farmers are making indiscriminate use of chemical in the supply chain, they are using ripening agent which are not good for health. Even to increase shelf life, unsafe kind of chemicals are being used, unsafe practices are being resorted. So, these are the challenges which arise out of agriculture.
Professor Chand, you talked about the challenges. Can you now talk about what are the new opportunities for Indian agriculture during Amrit Kaal, and will it continue to do really well, and how will it do well? That would be very interesting to hear.
After lessons and challenges, we come to opportunities which will shape future of agriculture. I feel that biggest opportunity in agriculture is coming from diversification of diets. If we look at diets of Indian, even the latest consumer household expenditure survey, it supports it. You just find that diets are diversifying, and diets are diversifying toward high value products and for high value kind of food. Secondly, the demand for attribute within food, that if some food has a particular quality, particular vitamin, particular nutrient which can address concern of the consumer. Today's consumer is willing to pay any price for that. So, that is the second, I would say, opportunities which is coming available. Already we get the report that some people for particular kind of milk, they are paying a price of 200 rupee a liter, 300 rupee a liter, compared to price of 40, 50 rupee a liter for ordinary kind of milk. And this is not exception, this is being seen in many areas. The third opportunity is that new sources of demand are adding to demand for agri-food. Earlier we just feel that agri-food is important to meet food demand, to meet feed demand, to meet fiber demand. But now even to some extent we are meeting renewable energy demand from agriculture. Then preference of people is shifting toward bios. These change may look small at this point of time, but they are likely to become very big in future, because people are fed up with chemical, people are fed up with the synthetics. So, they are looking at even in medicine there is more use of bioproducts, even in cosmetics there more use of bioproducts, even you look at disinfectant, toiletries. So, everywhere you find that the bio content is increasing and chemical content is declining. So, that also I consider as opportunity. We also have now possibilities of using agriculture waste through circular economy, like producing compressed biogas from rice straw, producing 2G ethanol from agriculture waste. So, that is again a new opportunity, that rice straw which was otherwise being burnt by farmers, creating environmental problem. Now, the technology is available, investments are coming where one can make use of that to produce compressed biogas, and whatever is the remaining part slurry, that goes back into field and work as a nutrient. Also, very realization of very close relationship between food and health. So, nutrition value, vitality, immunity, therapeutic uses. So, these are I think couple of factors which speak of new opportunity in agriculture. The another factor which is very important, which is relevant not only for India, we are seeing it elsewhere also, that there is a renewed interest in agriculture and there is a renewed importance of agriculture. Traditionally, the economic development models, particularly the model which follow the hypothesis of economist Arthur Lewis, they just based on this model that as any economy make progress, as any economy develops, the labor will shift from agriculture toward manufacturing. So, manufacturing will become engine of growth, manufacturing will become the main source of employment. But over time, if you look, you will find that Lewis hypothesis is not as relevant today as it was in 1950s when he came with this hypothesis. And everywhere people are now talking of agriculture as another engine of growth beside manufacturing being engine of growth. In fact, if you look at the data for last 10 years, particularly after the global financial crisis, in many countries the manufacturing growth did not recover. So, agriculture is giving much higher growth there compared to the growth rate of other sector. For example, in a country like Brazil, you find that agriculture is growing much higher rate and agriculture is the main source of growth for them in the recent years. Then secondly, I mentioned about demand side factor, that now the demand for agriculture produce is going beyond food, feed and fiber, and people are looking at agriculture as an alternative to chemical, as an alternative to this synthetic products.
There has been a lot of talk about climate change and sustainability, and how does that affect the opportunities for India and what India will have to do in agriculture to address that?
Then sustainability, environment and emission, they are becoming very important concern. If we look at agriculture, there are some possibility that in agriculture some solution for these crop is also possible. We also need to look at agriculture because agriculture is the major use of natural resources. 80–70% of water is used in agriculture. In India, for example, half of the total land area is under agriculture. So, because of these reasons, the importance of agriculture as we talk about sustainability, as we talk about dealing with emission becomes important for life of people and life of planet. That in the entire world, employment is becoming a big challenge. And we have seen even during shock period of COVID also that agriculture turned out to be a savior for livelihood. So, this is another reason. Having talked about lesson of the past, opportunity, challenge, renewed importance of agriculture, I would like to share the projections in terms of at what rate India's population is likely to increase, at what rate India's demand for food is going to increase, and what is the projected rate of growth in supply. As we go along, rate of growth in population is decelerating, it is coming down. But demand for agri-food commodity depend upon population, it also depend upon income. So, our per capita income growth rate is rising, population growth is decelerating. If we take both these factors into consideration, our projections are that during Amrit Kaal, the demand for agri-food commodity will increase at the rate of 2.85% every year. If we look at output, we looked at it under three scenarios. One is business as usual, that whatever happened in the last 40 years, same kind of growth happened in the future also, then we will have a growth rate of 3.1% every year. Second is that if we look at the recent trend after 2011-12, what kind of growth is there, that is much higher, that is close to 4%. Depending upon how you estimate this growth rate, it varies between 3.8 to 4%. Then there is a downward scenario that if we are not able to tackle climate change challenge, if we are not able to tackle issue of sustainability, then there can be a downward scenario that growth can go as low as 2.5%. So, corresponding to these three scenarios in production, in output, the India in every scenario will remain at aggregate level as a surplus of food. In the first scenario, that means if our agriculture continue to grow at 3.1%, then we will have 9% surplus production. If our growth rate continue like at 4% as seen in the last 10 years, then our surplus will grow to 25%. If because of various reasons climate change or India chose to become organic farming, natural farming, etc., and we have growth rate which is as low as 2.5, even then India remain net surplus in the next 7–8 years, but then the surplus which we are having at present we are exporting 7–8% of our total production. That will go down. That is what is likely to happen in the third scenario. So, given these scenario, they have implication for policy that if Indian agriculture grows at same rate as by the rate during last 40 years, or if it grows at 4%, which is the growth rate of last 10 years, our surplus is going to grow. And we need to find market for that surplus. We need to sell that surplus in overseas market. That will require that we improve our competitiveness, we improve our efficiency of agriculture production through technology, through better management of inputs, through by embracing modern technology and modern sciences. There are 4-5 sources. First, I come to low hanging fruit, that the growth rate which can be easily harnessed. That includes the low productivity of crop and low productivity of livestock. If we compare across states, there are very wide variation in productivity of crops. Like if I give you one example, if we look at productivity of maize, it is as high as 7 ton per hectare in Tamil Nadu, and it is less than 2 ton per hectare in many states. So, this shows that there is huge scope to increase crop productivity in many states by learning from those states where productivity is high. Similarly, if we look at productivity of livestock, milk productivity, like if you look at Assam, a average milch cow give only 1.5 kg of milk per day. Then we have Punjab and Haryana, where productivity per milch animal is 8 kg, 10 kg, like that. So, these are the two low hanging fruits that by bridging the yield gap, by using modern technology, modern breed, we can increase productivity, which will give us huge scope for growth in future. The second source is diversification. Productivity of fruit and vegetable is many times the productivity of fruit crops. As our demand is diversifying toward high value crops, demand for fruit and vegetable is rising at a much faster rate than demand for say cereal and many other field crops. So, if we diversify toward those kind of crops, as many states are already doing, that will also give us very high growth rate in future. The third source of growth is if we bring under cultivation fallow land and cultivable waste. Right now, we have nearly 38 million hectare of that land, and even if we bring half of that land under cultivation, that help us in increasing our net sown area. So, that is the again I would say low hanging fruit. The second source of increase in productivity and source of growth is that we embrace modern technology, we embrace frontier technology. We are now having drone. Through drone, you get lot of efficiency in application of input. We have precision farming, we have GPS. Then we have modern biotechnology, we have now this gene editing technology, we have nanotechnology. So, already these technologies are being embraced. Our scientists, they are working on those. So, as we embrace these technology, that is another source of growth for future. Then next is that we need to have some innovative planning, like we use this aspirational district model, aspirational block model. We should use this aspirational state model also. Like we have low productivity states like Chhattisgarh, Maharashtra, Rajasthan. They can learn from Madhya Pradesh, they can learn from other states. Then we have states where growth rate is less than 2%, but productivity is not that bad. So, they can again learn from experience of high productivity and high growth states. So, government has launched and is in the process of launching several initiatives to just push growth rate in case of agriculture. Then here this slide shows that how much is the variation across states in productivity, in irrigation, in crop intensity, in fertilizer use, in diversification and in livestock productivity. Like if you look at irrigation, Assam, which have so much of water sources, only 14% of area is under irrigation. Country average is 55%. In many states, area under irrigation is more than 90%. So, these are the example, like it can be seen in all these 6 figures, that how much is the scope for increasing production by bridging the interstate variation in those areas. The next step which we need to take for in future is to undertake reform in policy, to undertake reform in institutions. Our markets are imperfect. More than half of marketed surplus is disposed outside APMC market. So, you can imagine that our market infrastructure is not adequate to accommodate this entire marketed surplus. Only half of it comes to these regulated APMC markets, and most of it is not allowed under regulation. So, all kind of inefficiency happen there. Then we have this logistic cost, transaction cost, excessive intermediations. We have very weak integration or very low integration. You will find that in the producing market, in the producing area, onion is selling one day at 7 rupee a kg. Same onion in Delhi will be selling in the wholesale market at 14 rupee a kg or 20 rupee a kg. These are some of the examples of spatial absence of integration. Similarly, we have temporal disintegration, that during glut period prices are very low, during lean period prices go very high. Reason being that we do not have proper storage, we do not have cold storage. So, if we create those kind of storage, then you will just find that these kind of inefficiencies will be addressed. Another form which we need in our market is to create a assaying facility, so that the quality is rewarded, quality is paid accordingly, and farmer is incentivized to go for quality production to earn higher prices. We are also going for digitalization in the area of marketing. Countries promoting eNAM, electronic national agriculture markets, more than 1000 of them are now eNAM platforms. Then we have ONDC platform of open network for digital commerce. Farm producer companies are being put on ONDC to sell their produce. So, these are some example of digitalization through which market inefficiency can be reduced, intermediaries can be reduced, price spread can be reduced, so that producer get higher than what he is getting and consumer pay less than what he or she are paying. The second area of reform is land lease. As I mentioned earlier, that area under fallow land is increasing. Many people are working in non-agriculture activity. Many people are moving from rural area to urban area. They cannot undertake cultivation, but they are not leasing out their land, because land lease law is such that they fear that if I lease out my land, I will not be able to get it back from the person to whom I am leasing out. So, even if they are leasing out, it is oral leasing, then in those cases the tenant is not getting any recognition. So, NITI has proposed the Model Land Lease Act. Ministry of Agriculture has proposed Model Contract Farming Act. Then there is a Model APMC Act also. I feel that all states, they should look into these model acts, and they should see what kind of changes are needed for their situation, and they should go for reform. They are must to give big push to agriculture sector and to harness potential of agriculture. The other area is that corporate engagement in production agriculture. that corporates not should look at agriculture only as a market for sale of their product, for sale of pesticide, for sale of tractors or those kind of input. They should also bring new knowledge into agriculture. They should also bring new technology into agriculture. They should work in partner with the farmers, and some initiative are already there in this direction. Some investments are already coming into agriculture, but we need to increase this investment, because right now share of corporate investment in total investment in agriculture is less than 0.5%. So, these numbers speak of how much scope is there for modernization of agriculture, bringing modern investment into agriculture. I mentioned about scale factor in agriculture, small farmer, marginal farmer. We are now promoting farmer collective. Government of India has come with new ministry of cooperatives. There are also lot of initiatives are launched. They are primarily meant that small farmer, marginal farmer who do not have capacity, where scale does not justify for them to reach modern technology, to reach best markets. So, through this medium of cooperative also I think a lot of difference will come in future. Then this linking our supply chain with the global value chain for promoting exports, because as surplus will rise, we will depend more and more on overseas markets, and for that we need to integrate with the global value chain. The next is the area of technology and innovation. I think India is such a diverse and vast country that we cannot take approach to restrict ourselves to one option. We need to go for multiple options. Like in technology, I feel that we need to encourage traditional technology at some places. We need to promote modern technology at some places. We need to promote frontier technology also at some places. Some people talk about next gen agriculture, some people talk of high tech agriculture. So, these kind of things will happen in pockets, and we will also find that in some pockets even traditional farming, traditional method of cultivation will be more rewarding, because many people they have preference for attributes of the traditional varieties or traditional crops or this organic farming. So, we need to have a variety of method of farming, and by looking at advantage of particular place, by looking at market, these kind of activity should be encouraged. In science, we also need to encourage collaboration between agriculture sciences and non-agriculture sciences. We also need to encourage collaboration between public and private sector. We also need to encourage collaboration between domestic institution and international center of excellence, and we are moving towards digital and database sciences for better decision making. So, in nutshell, when we come to technology, I would like to say that in future we should explore all kind of promising technology, and different places different kind of technology will be suitable. Because of this, in NITI Aayog we emphasized regionally differentiated strategy of agriculture development. Many initiatives we start promoting pan India. In some state it may not be even relevant. So, we need to go for regionally differentiated development strategy, marketing strategy, price strategy, intervention strategy. Like I gave the example earlier that if we give minimum support price to farmer in eastern Uttar Pradesh, farmer in Bihar, farmer in Assam, it will bring big growth So, in order to have better growth, MSP is the instrument for these states, along with other method of diversification. But the states where we have already reached plateau, MSP may not give us growth. So, their option is that we should promote diversification toward high value products for which demand is rising at a faster rate. Similarly, we need to have a strategy where to promote natural farming, where to promote organic farming, and how to keep a balance between organic farming, natural farming, and this chemical based farming. Also, we know that millets are very important. In some states have very strong advantage in millets like Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Rajasthan. They have very strong comparative advantage in millets. So, we need to push millet particularly in these areas, and we need to dovetail our production choices to agroclimatic features. It is important from efficiency point of view. It is also important from climate change adaptation. It is also important from emission point of view. The next area is that these days we are talking about food safety concern, quality concern, and many consumer feel that agrochemical based production is bad, it is not good for health. I think there are many issues there. Ultimately, we need to balance agrochemical based farming and natural farming, and we need to go for judicious use of agrochemical. Right now, there are instances of indiscriminate use of agrochemical that is really not good for health, that is really not good for economics of farming. So, we need to go for appropriate kind of use of agrochemical, we need to go for efficient use of agrochemical, and we need to identify pockets which are good for natural farming, where we can get much better profit. Looking into all those things, we have come with a sort of roadmap for agrochemical farming and farming without agrochemicals. Like we have 7-8% area in this country where we are not using any agrochemical. This area, to my mind, should be the first candidate to promote natural farming. Similarly, Government of India is promoting natural farming both side of river Ganges. So, like this, we should go for a careful strategy that what goes best where, and in a planned way go for promoting different options in different area. And I also need to emphasize that we need to bring science also in natural farming to make natural farming stronger and compete with other kind of farming, and also to address this major concern that if you go for organic farming or natural farming, there is a yield penalty. So, through science we can address these kind of concern. After having said all these things, I would like to say that as we go into Amrit Kaal, we need to reimagine agriculture to meet the goal of Amrit Kaal, to see to it that agriculture plays its best role to achieve the goal of India becoming a developed country, and there is a inclusive kind of growth where there is prosperity for all the citizens. For that, briefly I would say that this will require some reimagining agriculture, and this should include a paradigm shift from costly growth to efficient growth, from traditional supply chain to modern supply chain, integrating our supply chain with global supply chain for sale of surplus produce, from inward looking policy to export oriented agriculture, because our surplus is going to increase in future. We need to promote new market models. From price taker, we should make our farmer price setter through options like ONDC, contract farming and other modern instruments. We have seen that demand led growth is much higher than MSP support growth. So, we should identify under what situation, in what kind of price intervention should be done, and how we maximize the gains from demand pull growth in case of agriculture. We should also go from bulk marketing to differentiated product, branded product, so that quality product can get better price. Our biggest concern will be smallholders with half acre, 1 acre. That 1 acre, however productive it is, it will not give adequate income to our farmer. So, we should also think of part-time farmer, that how they can get income from non-farm sources. Partly they work at farm and partly they work at non-farm to increase their income. So, to conclude, I would say that there are 4 main goals for Viksit Bharat. One is that we want to make India as a developed country. This requires high growth rate in economy. We want prosperity for all. This requires inclusive growth, remunerative employment for all. Then we want health for all, which require better nutrition. Agriculture is crucial for all these goals around this goal of Viksit Bharat. And we have seen that our recent success in agriculture is quite strong. Our agriculture is growing at 4%. At the current rate of growth in Indian agriculture and current rate of growth in world agriculture, by 2047, when we talk of making India Viksit Bharat, India's share in global GDP of agriculture will be close to 1/5. Precise estimation is that it will be 19%, which is quite high, much higher than other sector of economy. And with this, India will become the second biggest agriculture economy in the world. We will overtake US, but we will remain number 2 with China as number 1. And this is possible, this is doable. The only thing is that we need to recognize possibilities in agriculture sector, and we should work hard to harness those possibilities through collaborative effort of center, state and other stakeholders. Thank you.
Professor Chand, this has been fascinating, and it looks like you're very, very optimistic about the future of Indian agriculture, which is very good for us during Amrit Kaal. Thank you so much for the time that you have spent in explaining. I think this is a great primer for anyone who wants to understand Indian agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Always welcome. I feel I have not been optimistic, but I have been realistic.